Hello, this is Will Lucas. Welcome to my video blog, Surfing with Cancer, my second Vietnam. This is the 7th in a series based on letters I wrote home while on duty overseas. My experience in the Army reminds me of my first big wave, the excitement of the ride combined with the adrenaline rush knowing that I could get killed. But unlike surfing, the Army didn't offer me a choice of waves. A rogue set came and there I was, over the falls, trying to keep my head above water in what seemed like an endless set. As I review my letters from Pleiku Vietnam in January 1967, I have to remind myself that there's so much more to the story. There were many events that shaped my life, and some, but not all, were documented in my letters. These remaining letters also present a broad perspective of what the 4th Engineering Battalion, 4th Infantry, accomplished during their first year in Vietnam. At the time, I had no concept of the big picture. Hell, I didn't even know specifically what our mission was. Regardless of my knowledge or my views on the war, I did my job and did it with determination. As part of a coping mechanism that year, I kept really busy. And 50 years later, as part of my self-prescribed treatment for terminal bone cancer, I remain engaged. And today, I still feel a responsibility to do things right. I feel a tremendous need to understand what was going on with the troops who we, as engineers, supported. Those brave men who faced battles on a regular basis. I wanted to know the people who gave the ultimate sacrifice in all capacities. I wanted to pay them due respect. Reading my letters home prompted me to search for those answers and share them with my friends and family in an effort to understand myself. By January 1967, my job in Vietnam as a radio operator had become somewhat routine. My duty as a field radio mechanic had almost disappeared. These days, the closest thing I did to radio repair was to change the batteries on the one I carried on my back. But I was fortunate in my MOS that I wasn't as expendable as some of the other Army property. In a way, I was also fortunate to have more information than the average E4. Receiving and transmitting confidential data on a daily basis was a big part of my job. I was also a close friend of Rick Meyer, the company clerk, who had even more information than me. I was around a lot of officers and could sense their frustration with the war, particularly security and the chain of command. Some of that discontent is shown in my letters home during my 7th month in country. Please keep in mind these letters were written from the perspective of a 20-year-old draftee 50 years earlier. You should have a visitor soon. One of my buddies from over here, Rick Meyer, the company clerk. He's home on emergency leave. His father died. He got home on the 24th of December. He took my suit with him and will deliver it to you in person. One thing, if he comes by, don't sympathize with him because he hates that more than anything. He lives in Tacoma Park. He has a month's leave, but is going to try to get stationed back there. I've got to get now. I worked as a radio operator, mostly by myself at night, and while I was fearful, I was also grateful to be left alone to do my job. And when I wasn't on nightly radio duty, I was usually doing extra duty as CQ or command quarters. Free time was limited, but on occasion we were provided various forms of entertainment. While camp life was becoming more comfortable, we still did not employ a lot of locals for camp services at this point. Letter, 6 January 1967. Hi, I haven't received a 1967 letter from y'all yet, just sort of one. You started it Saturday night the 31st and ended Sunday morning the 1st. I almost forgot to wish Snuffy, our dog, a happy birthday. He's getting up there. I hope he makes it till I get home. 6 months ago today, I left the States. 6 months and I'll be home. Well, I want to wish you, Dad, a happy birthday, and to both of you a happy anniversary. My combo chief is in Hawaii. He left on his R&R yesterday. I'm going to put in for it next month. Did Rick Meyer bring my suit yet? The first sergeant broke his ankle New Year's Eve when he fell into a foxhole. Yesterday, he received a phone call from the Red Cross saying his father was dying, so he left for home yesterday on crutches. Right now, I'm in charge of combo. So far, everything going along smoothly. It's just about time for me to get off CQ, so bye for now. Love. Meanwhile, back at home, President Lynden B. Johnson was asking the support of Congress and the nation in stepping up the war efforts in Vietnam. The selective service policy was to be rewritten, which eventually produced the draft lottery. Looking back, I understand that those in office were old school, from a time when winning battles was done with traditional warfare. But those leaders failed to recognize the determination of a people who could take out our sophisticated equipment with very basic tools. They failed to see that many Vietnamese were sympathetic to the North. They failed to see that many Americans were starting to question our involvement in what was commonly referred to as a civil war.
With your understanding, I would hope for your confidence and your support. We are going to persist, and we are going to succeed.
Letter, 12 January 1967. I want you all to be sure not to worry about me. I know it must be all over the papers back there that Pleiku was hit. That was Camp Holloway. That's about 6 miles from here as the crow flies. If you ever hear anything about Dragon Mountain Base Camp, that's me, home of the 4th Division. Holloway did get hit pretty hard 3 nights in a row, but that's their own fault. They don't have any perimeter guard. We have bunkers about every 25 feet with 3 men in a bunker. Old Charlie doesn't have a chance. I've got to get now. While there were security issues at Camp Holloway, the resulting deaths and injury were not the fault of the soldiers and airmen who served there. The real reason for the attack on Camp Holloway versus Dragon Mountain should be obvious: aircraft. 2 years earlier, Holloway was hit by ground and mortar attack, destroying many airplanes. It's reported that the 1965 attacks were possible because the South Vietnamese ARVN troops who were responsible for security were literally caught off guard. Or were they? Camp Holloway was an older, more established base, clearly a step above Dragon Mountain. And they had a lot more locals in camp doing service work. As was common in Vietnam, some of these workers brought in valuable information, while others worked for the VC.
Our South Vietnamese allies are also being tested tonight because they must provide real security to the people that are living in the countryside. And this means reducing the terrorism and the armed attacks, which kidnapped and killed 26,900 civilians in the last 32 months.
All of this is much clearer to me today. As a 20-year-old, I was just trying to get through each day, playing music and dreaming of surfing. Letter, 15 January 1967. Hi, I'm on pass today, but not going anywhere. I'm recording some music today. I'm going up to the PX today to see if they finished my suit yet. It should be. It's supposed to take 6 weeks, and I ordered it about November 30th. We've been on sort of an alert since that Holloway incident. You've got to wear your helmet everywhere you go. If you leave the company area, you have to wear your rifle and web gear and all that, all night. I've done absolutely nothing worthwhile for a couple of weeks. Oh, I got the tax form. All I need now is my W-2. I guess they'll give them to us sometime in the near future. Nothing much more to say. I'll say goodbye. Letter, 21 January 1967. Hi. I've got a bad feeling that I may not be leaving here on July 6th. They can't get enough replacements in by then. They have to extend 27 people an extra 30 days. It's all going to be done fair and square by drawing names or something. If I'm going to lose, that is win, I might as well just go for another month and get out of the Army. I hope not, that is. I hope I'm not extended. There should be a list out in a few days concerning the people who have been extended. I can't think of any more to say, so I'll close for now. Today is the 23rd. They had a meeting yesterday concerning the individuals who were to be extended. 61 people were eligible, and they had to choose 26 names. They put everyone's name on pieces of paper and put them in a cracker box. Then they started drawing names. Everybody laughed when somebody's name was called. Well, I was lucky they didn't get me. Well, almost didn't anyway. I was the 5th from the end to get extended. They extended me to August 6th, but I'm going to extend another month so I can go ahead and get out of the Army on September 25th, 8 months from today. I wanted to be home so much for the summer, but it's too late. By the way, my buddy's name is Rick, not Ralph. From what I got out of your letter, he should be coming back over. If so, he should be back in a few days. I hate to see anyone having to come back to this place. Oh, I have a few favors to ask. I hope to be going to Hawaii next month. I don't have an ID card, so if you can find my driver's license, I would appreciate it if you would send it to me. I sent it home in the suitcase I shipped from Fort Lewis prior to leaving for a 12-month tour of duty. Also, I'm out of shoe polish and you can't get a hold of any around here. So if you could please send me a couple of large cans, enough to last me 8 months, I'd appreciate that too. You couldn't imagine how much I was shaking when they were drawing names. When they hit my name, that was it. I may as well close now. It's funny that I would ask for shoe polish, but I guess because the rainy season was over, the company commander wanted to see shiny leather. I don't know, I just remember Jungle Boots mostly. In spite of the anxiety of being extended for the month, thoughts of music and surfing in Hawaii got me through each day, and it appears that my dream would come true. I was going on a surf adventure in Hawaii, but I needed a new ID card and camera to replace the one stolen from me on my trip to Nha Trang in October. I was finally recovering financially after losing $240. My earthly losses were replaceable, but looking back, I see I was also robbed of my youth. As my mother told me, I wasn't the same carefree son. Letter, 28 January 1967, to my sister Peg. Hi Peg. Well, good news for a change. I'm going to Hawaii next month. I think about the 24th or somewhere around there. Listen Peg, I'm serious. I'll send you $200 or so if you need it. Please come down. I've got plenty of money. I can pay your way over. Really, if you can come, let me know and I'll send the money right away. I'll get some info on where to meet and all that. Thinking over, but not too long. I can hardly believe it. I'm the only one in the company that got an allocation for Hawaii for February. It's going to be a long month waiting for the 24th. Write me right away and let me know. Letter, 28 January 1967, to my parents. Oh, I bought myself a camera, a Petri 7S for $28.75. It cost about $70 in the States. It's pretty nice, 35 millimeter. I sent a roll of film I'd like for you to develop. I just snapped some quick pictures to see how good a photographer I am. Please have it developed and send a few to me, a couple of the good ones and a couple of the bad ones. Oh, by the way, they're slides. I couldn't get a hold of any prints. Oh well, I've got to make it now. Letter, 30 January 1967. Hi, Best News Week, Bulletin. Willie Lucas tore up his extension papers and will be coming home in July as previously planned. Someone decided that no one could spend over their 12-month tour of duty without their own consent, so I tore up my papers before they were turned in. I hope it's all right with you that Peg goes to Hawaii with me. I gotta get now. We had just survived our first 7 months overseas. I was lucky. It was always someone else. I realized then and now that many people had it worse than me, and while most of us in Company C had not volunteered, we all served proudly. Anyone who has served in a combat zone knows that even support personnel endure daily stress. You just didn't know when it would be your turn, be it enemy attack, accident, friendly fire, or retaliation. I just became numb to the situation while the whole time I felt like I was ready to explode. How many body bags can one person see without building anxieties? And I was getting very concerned with the collateral damage as well. Situations became even worse a year later when the Viet Cong started hitting back hard. I was fortunate to be home at that point. As the war continued, so did the threat to one's security. Recently, a friend, referred to himself as Rear Echelon, who served proudly in the Army as a first lieutenant in 1971, wrote me the following. Except for an occasional base camp rocket attack and harrowing helicopter rides to inspect and supply enemy-surrounded distant signal sites like Cu Chi and Black Virgin Mountain, my tour was mostly unexceptional. That is, except for the time my buddies and I were nearly blown to pieces in a vicious VC-planted bomb explosion in downtown Saigon that killed and maimed soldiers and civilians alike, proving once again that there were no battle lines in Vietnam. The enemy was all around.